Hello and welcome to this special bonus patron edition of Because Language, a podcast about linguistics, the science of language. My name's Daniel Midgley. Let's meet the team. It's the person with all the answers, Hedvig Hurgard.
Oh, yes.
Yep. I was figuring out how I would have to, unctuously slither out of that compliment, and then I didn't have to, so I call that a win.
Is that how I come across? That's not great.
No, I don't mean that. I don't mean to say she acts like she knows all the answers.
Yeah, no, she just hasn't.
Okay.
And the person with all the answers.
Oh, God damn it.
Ben Ainsley.
I don't care for this at all.
I wasn't going to do
like
that,
it.
but based on your reaction, I thought I would.
It's
just
very cute.
I have
I like it.
few of the answers.
try to weasel out of it, and then
Yeah,
I
I did.
weaseled you right back
No.
into it.
Yeah, that was,
Mhm.
I like that. I
Yeah.
like
When
that.
you choose to answer things, you answer them well.
Well, I think so.
Oh, there we go. That makes me sound like that really annoyingly thinks he's cool kid in class who's like, yeah, I could totally ace it if I wanted to. I just don't want to.
No. It's just you're a mature adult who chooses to interact when you think you have something to contribute.
I'll take that.
And he does. Well, this is a very special patron edition, so this one's for you folks. This is the one where we incriminate ourselves a lot.
Mhm.
Oh, no. Yes. Okay. Mhm.
Oh, the mailbags.
Has anybody gotten back to you on any of your confessions of illicit behavior?
No.
Oh,
Good.
Hedvig looks
True.
really confused. Do you not remember this?
I remember some of it. I remember maybe it's something to
It's
do
all a
with
blur.
your German bureaucracy and trying to get an apartment.
Yes, that one.
Yeah.
Yes.
No one. I mean,
Well,
every Swede I've mentioned it to is just like, well, that's ridiculous. I'm glad you did what you did to survive. So, yeah.
Play that card. Just
Mm.
fling it out of the sleeve like Spider-Man's web.
Well, this is an episode where we do the questions, we do the answers, and we're doing this for you. And I actually enjoy these most of all because I learn lots of new things, and it's really fun.
Because our listeners are substantially smarter than we are.
Oh,
What is it we bring to this? Are we? Are we?
lots and lots of time looking up
Funnier?
answers. That's what it
Yeah.
is.
Okay.
Right, Daniel, now that
Well-
you've done all of the work, please
Yeah.
ferry us into the start. Are we going to do
Yes,
the news or
please.
are we just straight into questions?
We are going to do the news. Oh, but
Okay.
before we do, remember our Redbubble store is open. Just look for talkthetalk.redbubble.com because they can't change it yet.
Oh no.
Yeah, you're kind of stuck with it, which is why if you think your show might change in the future, just give it an arbitrary name that belongs to you, and then you can use it for whatever. Give it something
Oh.
nonsensical.
Oh, well. Look, Talk the Talk did us good for many years and still just ticking along in the background.
It'll always be a part of it.
Close to our hearts and our e-store.
Exactly. All right, let's start off with the news. This one was picked up by a lot of places, and I want to cover it because I think it's funny, and also I'm kind of immature. The town of
Ooh.
fucking Austria.
I was guessing that.
You noticed this
I
one?
knew this was coming. I knew this was coming. You big Exmo, you just love the swears deep down.
I just think it's funny that there was a town with the name of fucking. I thought, what does it mean? What? Why? How
It's
did
about-
you get it?
It's about breeding animals, right?
No, it's not. Any other guesses?
A totally arbitrary thing that doesn't have anything to do with the English word.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, but isn't ficken in other Germanic languages to do with like breeding and
Well-
Is it
bringing
from
cattle?
the same? Is it from the same root as fecund?
No. If you
Okay.
take it way back, it goes back to a Dutch word "fokken," which means to thrust or to strike.
I
A jolly
feel
good-
like this is definitely what Hedvig is saying. To
No, but I
thrust
thought-
or to strike.
No, but I thought it was like a thing you like. I have reared, as in like reared my children, or reared
Mhm.
a horde of whatever.
Sired kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought that was it. Anyway, tell me what it is.
I did a little bit of research on this and found out
Thank
that it goes back to a person's name.
Oh.
Right. Get this. Adalper von Wuckingen.
Adelper von fucking. I like that.
But von
you know.
Wuckingen would mean that he is from a place. Like von is usually that you're from a place, right?
Right.
Oh,
And
the plot thickens.
well, so that name dates from about 1070, but it could be that it goes back to a 6th century Bavarian aristocrat called Focko, who founded the settlement.
Oh, okay.
Lord Focko.
Okay.
And that is probably just a coincidence. It's probably not related to fucking at all.
Like that was just probably a name.
Probably just
Like
a name.
a boring, old-fashioned, not a name that means a thing, just a name.
Yep. Oh,
So-
it meant something, but we don't know what it is.
So it feels like they had 3 choices here. The village, town, and fucking. They could either
3?
3.
Yeah, they could either change the name to something completely different.
Mm.
They could change the name so that the spelling reflects some older version, so it doesn't sound exactly like fucking. That it's Fuckoville or something.
Yeah.
Fuckistan.
yeah.
Yeah, these are all
Or
way less bad.
Fucksburg.
Or they could just like way lean into it, have lots of merchandise,
Yes.
make a little museum,
Yeah.
and like just like charge people for taking selfies with their signage.
Or just say, because their sign got stolen loads of times. They finally had it up on a
That's
2-meter
Sell signs.
pole. Sell signs. Have a thing saying,
Yeah.
"Don't take our sign."
Here is a bloody like a replete sign shelf full of all of the fucking signs you could possibly want.
Here's a QR code. We will mail it to you.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Just
Free of charge.
something like
Yeah.
that. They could, it would have been a source of income. No, they piked out. They changed it to something. Oh man, they changed it to fugging.
Oh, this is my
Isn't
second
that-
option. Yeah.
Isn't that what
Yep.
some variety of English uses that as the swear word,
And-
right? In the same way the
yeah.
Irish say shite, there is someone who says fugging instead of fucking, right?
Or fogging.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know about that. I do know that in the 50s, 1940s and 50s, what with the laws being what they were, Norman Mailer, in his book The Naked and the Dead, had to change the word fuck to fug, which prompted the actress Tallulah Bankhead to come up to him and say, "So, you're the young man who can't spell fuck."
Okay.
Great old story.
Yeah, that's good. Well, I can understand them being tired of being butt of a
Yeah.
joke. Yeah.
Yeah,
I understand.
for sure.
The- yes.
One of the things as an Australian that I found really weird when I went to Austria, and this really took me by surprise, is how kind of like a bit weirdly insecure Austrians are about not being Australia. Like, there has been 0 times in my life ever where I have ever had to explain to someone, and I'm from Australia, not from Austria. But like many of the stores and pubs and bars I went into had like, we're Austria, not Australia paraphernalia. And many Austrians that I met were like, "Oh, you're Australian. We get confused for you all the time." And I'm like, that's odd,
Wow.
because I've never been confused for you, ever.
Not by English speakers anyway. Does that
Yeah.
have anything to do with nearness?
when I went there, I was like, this is the first country on earth that I've been to that like values the perspective of Australians. Like,
Well, the fuckingers, which is the name of the people in the town, the
Love it.
fuckingers will have to just get used to a different name. No word on whether, by the way, this comes from the BBC, no word on whether the towns of Oberfucking and Unterfucking will have to change theirs as well.
out of interest, are they called that because they're further up and further down the hill that all of these towns are on?
Oberfucking and Unterfucking are some distance away from fucking, but they're still pretty close to each other. Anyway, so now we will have to settle for other towns with risque names like Condom, France, Wankdorf, Switzerland, Gofuku,
Yeah,
Japan, and
Pretty good.
Anus, France, which is weird because anus means anus in French too. It's like the town is literally called Anus.
Well, if
Yeah,
I've learned anything
but
from
they-
all the French people I've ever met is that they don't give a fuck. They're just like, yep, my town's called Anus. What up?
My friends in Europe, when I told them I was going to ANU, they immediately were like, "Do you realize that whenever there's going to be possessive, it's going to be anus?"
Thank
was
goodness
like,
for that
yes.
little apostrophe.
But like,
Thank
no
you.
one at ANU really cares much. They make like ANU Sports has like big T-shirts that says like ANU Sport and stuff. Yeah.
See, option number 3, lean into it.
I just
Yeah.
figure that calling your town Anus is like the thing everyone does where they say, "God, this town sucks."
No, well, surely they'd call it cock then, right?
We could have named it something else, but it's like, nah.
No, I like it. If I lived in a town called Anus and in my language that meant anus, I'd be like, this is us. Welcome.
Let's go on to our next item, and this one is about the phonetic alphabet. When I say phonetic alphabet, Ben, just as the non-linguist of the team, what do you think of?
I would have...
Foxtrot.
If someone said that to me, I would assume they were talking about IPA.
Oh, okay. Like, you mean the one that linguists use?
Yeah. Because...
Because you've been on the show for 10 years.
Yeah. Well, because, like, English isn't phonetic, and you don't... this is breaking my brain a little bit, because I'm like, well, the letters that are in the Roman alphabet can be put together phonetically, as in Spanish, and they can be put together non-phonetically, as in English. So that's why I would assume they meant the IPA.
I was gonna, because I know where this is going. I was gonna try and lead Ben down the path. Do you think of something that isn't really like so? A very generous interpretation of phonetic.
Looks like what it sounds like.
Yeah, no, but like actually just remove the word phonetic because it's not.
Okay, now we have alphabet. I'm aware that alphabets exist.
This isn't going very well, Daniel. You're better at this.
I like that you're leading me to the answer, and we are now substantially further away from the answer than when we began.
I'll lead you back the other way.
Okay.
Tiger Web did a tweet recently. When I say, here's the tweet. When I say phonetic alphabet, which of these do you primarily associate that with? And one answer was IPA, only got 40% of the vote.
Okay.
The other one was NATO with 60%. If I say NATO phonetic alphabet, does that mean anything?
Oh, do they mean radio alphabet?
Yes.
Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta, Echo, that sort of thing?
Yes, that's correct.
Yes, that's why I was humming the
Interesting.
Blink-182 song. Foxtrot, Unicorn, Charlie,
Unicorn.
Kilo. See, I linked to news items.
Bloodhound Gang, actually.
Oh.
Oh no! Yes, so it is. They're very similar.
Pop culture knowledge fail.
Thank you.
I can do it. I can do it all, thanks to my very militaristic high school.
I have some
Why?
gaps.
Good.
Because we did those things, like we would march in unison into the hall every Friday, and we did like militaristic scouty things all the time, and all sorts of very fun stuff.
Wow.
Are you good with knives?
I'm good with knives in the sense that I can butcher an animal.
That's good with knives.
She can slaughter a shoat.
A shoat? Is that a sheep and a goat?
I don't know. I have never understood that Yosemite Sam line, but I like it. Anyway.
So what about the phonetic, what I would call the radio call sign alphabet?
Well, we are talking not about the one for English, but the one for German. Germany is changing its radio alphabet.
So I'm assuming German does a similar thing that English does, which is that it takes existing words and attaches them to the letters so that you can say them out loud, and if garbled things come through, people can still kind of like muddle their way there.
It is exactly that kind of thing. And the reason why they changed them was because back in the 30s, they purged all the Jewish names.
Oh.
Yeah.
How many left out of interest?
There were...
So if I followed you correctly, just for the sake of our listeners, right? Like the military has been using this style of call signs for letters for a really, really long time, since the birth of radio, because you need to. And it had an existing set, and then because of the Nazis, a bunch of things got dropped because of Jewish connotations or just explicitly being Jewish names.
Replaced. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, dropped and then replaced. So how many were dropped and will now be coming back, I assume?
I'm just looking over the two lists just quickly. It looks like 4 that I can see right now. D for David became Dora. N for Nathan became Nordpol, the North Pole. S was Samuel, it turned into Siegfried. And Z was Zechariah, but it became Zeppelin, as you might expect.
Yeah, well, that's definitely got much better connotations.
Yeah. So they are changing them back thanks to Michael Bloom, an anti-Semitism commissioner for the state of Baden-Württemberg. So
Baden-Württemberg?
Wait, so only one of the states is changing?
I reckon what's happened is this person on behalf of this place has done it, and then everyone's gone, That's a not terrible idea.
Yeah, it's all of Germany.
Because it's definitely
Okay,
it's
good.
definitely not a thing that can happen in a localized way.
No,
right? Like there's
exactly.
no way you can just have one tiny little sect doing it differently.
Yeah, no, it doesn't work. However, like when I have to spell my name, I don't know. I'd be curious, Daniel, to know some of the other words because often people seem to use names. So the American alphabet has these like foxtrot, unicorn that we just discussed.
So like yours would be like Hilo, Echo, Victor, India.
Yeah.
I'm trying to spell your name in my head. Sorry. I missed D. Sorry, Delta.
Golf.
fine.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when I do it in German, like on the fly on the phone, and people ask, we tend to say like Heidi, Eric. Like it's always names.
Mind you, that's what English speakers do who don't know that alphabet, right? Like P for Paul,
Okay.
J for Jill, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is weird. M used to be Marie, but it changed to Martha, which I didn't think Marie was that. And
To be honest, I was surprised that some of them got ranked. I have a feeling. I mean, we should probably pause here and just grab someone of Jewish extraction and just ask them. But like your son, who speaks Yiddish, for example. But I would. It sounds to me like some of these names just kind of got caught in this huge Nazi like Jewish scare kind of campaign. Like Nathan isn't explicitly Jewish.
it is. It's Old Testament. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Anyway, so some of those names are going to be coming back, so I thought I would mention.
That's cool.
That is cool.
I like that. And phonetic alphabets, which is not what I've ever heard them called before, but man, they're fun. Like, of all of the really bizarre things that I had to do because of my high school, I like that thing the most. I love the radio call sign alphabet. It's just heaps of fun.
I think I'm going to take it on because I'm sick of saying N for numbnuts or something, just having to make up
What is
something on the
wrong
fly.
with you today? You've got the fucking story. You're just dropping numbnuts all over the place. You're just like, there's a town called fucking.
I let my hair down.
You're particularly mature.
What is numbnuts? I only know numtot.
Numtarts?
Well, explain numbnuts first.
No, I wouldn't. And we must stop immediately and explain numtarts.
Numtots is a very, very popular Facebook group called New Urbanist Memes for Transit-Oriented Teens. It's for people who are into infrastructure and urbanization and you know about NIMBYs?
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Anti-NIMBYism,
numtots are the reaction to NIMBYs.
Oh, okay.
So a lot of memes about trains.
I would mock you, but I am part of 2 different infrastructure shitposting groups from Perth.
Yes.
So
Yes.
Why are they not
Is one of them
Yimbys?
called something memes for something teens?
No, though Aish does follow a couple of those.
Yeah, and I think Numtot is the originator of that pattern.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Oh.
I will tell her about that. I think she'll be very interested.
What are numbnuts? Are they what they think they are?
Numbnuts is just like a dickhead,
okay.
like stand-in. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know why it would be bad to have nuts that are numb and why that would make you a bad person. For me, having a dick on your head is a far more obviously bad thing.
Maybe you sit on them in the library and they go numb.
Possibly. Because
You
you're a
didn't
nerd.
realize?
Yeah. Okay.
I think we could look that one up for next time.
Yeah, okay. Entomology search.
Yeah, we'll
Cool.
throw it on.
Wow. Are we through the news section?
Welcome back. We are having the mailbag episode on Because Language. You know how it works. People send us great questions. We give them great answers.
Great.
And then Daniel does a whole bunch of work. And we ride his coattails all the way to the stratosphere.
Not so, dear friend. Not so.
What's the first question we can let you answer, Daniel?
This one comes from Farracat on Twitter.
Oh, good old Farracat. She gives us the best questions.
I've learned so much from her questions. We have pronouns and proverbs. Why don't we have proadjectives and proadverbs? What is the pro?
Yeah,
Oh.
okay, great. I'm going to need you guys to stop where you are and do a whole bunch of linguistic explaining. What is a proverb and an pro? What is the pro?
So what's a pronoun?
Yeah.
So I always thought that the reason why it's called pronoun is that it can stand in for the noun. So you can say, Daniel looks very nice today, or he looks very nice today, right?
That is correct. It is pro in place of. And
Okay.
nomen
Whereas-
is the name or the noun, right? Mhm.
And I have actually heard people discuss pro other things, but proverb, as in like a saying.
A proverb.
What's a good one? I can only think of Swedish ones right now.
Loose lips sink ships was a proverb
Yeah, there you
from
go.
World War II in Britain, meaning like, don't
Right.
talk about what's going on because the spies might hear you.
Young pigs grunt as old pigs grunted before them.
Okay,
Well,
I like that.
I want a
All
Swedish
these things.
proverb, Hedvig. But come on, give me
I
a
have
Swedish
one
one.
that's the same thing as Ben. I don't know if it's a proverb, but en svensk tiger can either be a noun for saying a Swedish tiger or a Swedish person is silent. It's not a proverb; it's more like a
okay.
slogan.
Oh, okay. Oh, cool.
Anyway, it was for the same thing,
Yeah,
Ben. For
same idea.
Don't talk to Russians.
Yeah.
I like-
Okay.
Such
Well,
good advice.
The pro in proverb is not the same as the pro in pronoun because the
That's
pro
what I
in
was going to say.
pronoun
They don't
is
sound the same.
Yeah. No, that's true. The pro in pronoun is in place of a noun, but a proverb, it comes from verbum, which is word, and pro means forth, like forward. So these are words that you're putting forward. I put this forward as a proverb.
Oh,
Just laying it
like
out
an
there.
announcement.
Pontificating.
So why don't we have...
Do we have pro anything else?
We don't.
Okay.
Or do we, Hedvig? We don't have proadjectives.
No.
What about the other ones? The other kinds of the other modifiers. So we've got verbs and we've got adverbs. What other modifiers? Like, how do the modifiers work for all of these things?
So adverb, add is to, so it's something that's added to a verb.
Oh, okay. So adverbs aren't verbs; they're things that happen next to verbs.
Yeah.
All right.
She ate the porridge very quickly.
Well, I suppose if pro means in the place of, and a pronoun is in the place of a noun, there isn't really anything that we use in place of adjectives or in place of conjunctions.
I'm sure that if we actually sat down and nutted it out for a while, we could come up with something. Surely somewhere in like how people are using English or languages generally on the internet, like in the way that we're seeing because change, right? Because language. Surely there is now some standing in of words for other words in the same way pronouns stand in for the nouns of that original place. That must happen.
What about things like, she had a certain je ne sais quoi, like when you don't have the word for it and you use a generic big word for it. So like there's something
An X factor.
she has
Yeah.
it, or like there's something about him. When you say
And the
something
only
like that,
way you can understand it is if you are in tune with that speaker enough to understand that they are sort of linguistically genuflecting towards this thing that everyone has to
Yeah.
understand
They
is
don't
a
really
thing,
have a
but we
word
can't
for it.
really, yeah.
yeah,
That's
is
interesting.
that
I think that's just circumlocution.
yeah, but if I can get philosophical here, he instead of a name is also, you need a lot of, the other hearer needs to do a lot of work to know who that he is,
there's
right?
heavy lifting there, right? Yeah,
That's true.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, so I guess the short answer then is that the pro in pronoun and the pro in proverb are not the same thing. It's just a coincidence, and there aren't other kinds of pro because we just don't do that with anything but nouns.
That's the short answer. The
really.
long answer is that's quitter talk and we should find some.
I was just thinking about do and make verbs
Hmm.
when you say do it, when you mean bike.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's right. That's kind of a proverb.
Yeah?
Yeah, right. So a non-proverb, a proverb. I like that. That's fun. Do it.
Thanks, Ferrocat, for that great question. Next one is from Brendan via email. He emailed us at hello@becauselanguage.com. I was speaking with my father the other day and used the expression on accident when referring to a mistake I subconsciously had made the other day. My father immediately commented that the proper expression is by accident, and although I do realize... Yeah, you got to watch your prepositions, right? Although I do realize that absolutely is the proper use, I feel that I certainly have heard the expression on accident at some point before. I mean, it
Oh, yeah, for
just
sure.
makes sense. You do something on purpose or on accident. I was wondering if you've ever heard someone misuse this expression in the same way I have, or if you have any similar experiences. Yeah?
Definitely.
I wouldn't even call it a misuse.
Yeah,
Super
I would
common.
cut straight to the end here and just be like, that is a thing that lots of people say. So you get to have that really fun conversation with your dad about like, hey dad, in linguistics there's like prescriptivists and descriptivists, and like one person says you should do something and blah, 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 blah. And so you could have that conversation, or you could just be like, shut up, I will say what I want.
It depends on your relationship.
Yeah.
Daniel, did you check the engrams for this?
I did, and I found that by accident is far and away the more common in writing,
Yeah.
all the way through history. But like Brendan says, on still makes sense. And then I also found, I found a post by a grammar girl, Mignon Fogarty, who found a paper on this by Leslie Barrett, professor of linguistics at Indiana State University. And Barrett points out that if you're under 30, you're probably likely to say and accept on accident, the less common one. If you're over 40, you're probably likely to reject it and say by accident instead. So this is, one of those up and coming changes in progress.
This reminds me, this tugs a little like memory string in my brain of one of my pet peeves, which is people who get very sort of demanding around it, around the correct formulation being at the weekend, not on the weekend.
Oh my God, what?
And
At the weekend, what is that?
It just, it breaks my brain because it's like one of those, it's the same thing. I find it's just like one of those, like, look how clever I am, dog whistling moments, in the same way that people make sure to sort of pronounce appreciate that way. And I'm like, yeah, okay, we get it. You've read some books, whatever. Like, it seems like one of those really annoyingly difficult, like, being all up in arms about it being by mistake, not on mistake, I think says a lot about the person who gets up in arms about that thing.
But at least by accident is more common, at least in writing. So I think that has got a bit of a point. Whereas at the weekend, on the weekend, the frequency there is like they can't be on the weekend, has to be more common, right?
You would,
And appreciate and appreciate.
Daniel, I'm going to
What?
quickly write a question to Because Language. If you could just check the inbox and then just add it to the end of this show and research it while we do the rest of them, that'd be great.
Sure, great. I had to get used to at the weekend when I came to Australia. I also had to get used to as at March 30th instead of as of March 30th.
I hate this stuff. I
I've
hate
never
it.
heard
maybe
this.
Maybe it's because I grew up in the States or something, but I just find it so conceited and unnecessary. Like, everyone understands this. It doesn't... What did you get up to on the weekend? I think you mean, what did I get to at the weekend? And I'm like, just stop. I don't care anymore. Don't answer my question.
Yeah, exactly.
Could it be that you did something in the past on the weekend, but when something is coming up, it's going to be at the weekend?
Bah.
No.
Prepositions in time expressions are super weird. But Brendan continues. Also, I just want to say I absolutely love the podcast. I frequently have to drive long distance to see my partner, and nothing breaks the monotonous and mind-numbing music better than listening to an episode or two. I hope that you are all doing well in these times, and just want to thank you again for the countless hours of intellectual engagement.
Well, if you are listening to this while you're on one of your long drives, Brendan, let me be the first to say, cow, tree.
Let me be the first to say, you need some better music. May I recommend Tycho?
Sign, another sign, fence post. Sorry, anyway.
Hey, speaking of music, can I know what you guys' top song on Spotify was this year?
I don't use Spotify because I am old and crotchety, but I can give you my most listened to song on YouTube, which is where I do most of my music these days.
Oh, but isn't that going to be something from Ellis? Isn't that going to be...
No.
The wheels on the bus.
No. I don't let him pollute my YouTube music feed that way.
Okay.
I don't use either one. I have all my MP3s.
What is your most listened to track then, Daniel?
My most listened to track of all time?
No, this year.
No, this year.
If you give me 15 seconds, I can get it.
Okay. Well, while he's doing that, I can tell you almost certainly what mine would be. It would actually probably be a song called Holy Harbor by a German marching band called Muete.
What? Okay.
Look it up.
That's... Okay.
Daniel's
yeah.
busy doing other things. So Holy Harbor, Muete. And I reckon Muete will be like so far up your alley, it's going to get stuck, by the way.
Wow.
Muete.
It's a marching band.
Yes.
Didn't know you were... Well, now that I learned about your military upbringing, maybe I'm not so surprised.
So it's not that. It's not that at all. They mostly do covers of EDM tracks, and I love EDM. So That's how I got into them, but this is one of their originals, and it's really, really good.
Okay.
Moette.
Muete. I pronounced it mute for a long time, but apparently it's pronounced muete.
Track number 1 is Baton Rompus by Nick Duffy, because my daughter loves it. The one that is really mine is First Class by Kroangbin. And then number 3 is Hate Rock with Real Head Fuck. And number 4 is Yumizuma, Cool for a Second, the Japanese wallpaper remix. There you have it.
Very interesting.
Thanks, Brendan, for that great question.
Absolutely. And by the way, Brendan, now you just get 3 tracks. Oh, wait, no, Hedvig, what's your most listened to track this year?
It's a song called Softly by Claro. Basically, my top lists were all like my PhD writing playlist.
Oh, right.
It's all like
so
very
like
soft
not
pop.
a super not a super representative kind of sample
No, I've been
necessarily.
listening a lot to lo-fi pop all year, regardless of
Okay.
writing or not. Actually, my second one is
Lo-fi
actually
is, man, I don't know who 10 years ago was like, let's just lo-fi everything, but that person deserves a medal.
yeah, no, it's great. My number 2 was actually New Slang by the Shins, which fair enough.
You definitely have a Manchester husband.
Next question. Matthias on Facebook says, what's the past tense of to speedrun? I thought it was speedran, but I just heard spedrun, and now my life is in shambles.
I like Spedrun.
I like them both. Speedran, spedrun. I like spedrun, actually. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I like Spedrun.
I hate it.
I think intuitively, I would say Spedrun.
Well, what do you think about speedrun?
Oh, no.
Why not?
No.
Why not?
Gross. Because do you know why? Because it sounds like, and it's another one of those really annoying things that just always really irritates me. When you hang a person to kill them, they have never been hung, they have been hanged.
Yes.
And I've just always found that pedantic.
It is.
Sort of just really dumb and annoying.
I have never had to discuss that such that I knew that.
Don't you play D&D? That's never come up. Never?
No.
Oh, you clearly have a much nicer DM
We
than
know.
I ever am.
What? People were hanged?
Oh, there are gibbets in most of my campaigns. I like a nice sort of Eastern European, The Witcher style sort of fantasy mythos where things just get grim as hell.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, no.
Let me ask a question. Scuba dive, past tense? Do you like scuba dove or scuba dived?
Scuba dove.
I would
Scuba
actually
dived.
probably, I would say I would be a cheat. I would say I went scuba diving.
Oh, no, you don't get to.
I was going to say that about the speedrun, that I was going to say did a speedrun.
Did a speedrun. That is not available to you.
Okay, all right. Scuba. Oh, they're all bad. Scuba dived.
If scuba dived sounds good, why does speed runned sound terrible?
Because rund isn't a thing.
Yeah, but neither is dived. Well, it kind of is, isn't it?
What? Yes, it is.
Yeah.
He dove
Dived
under
is.
the water. Dived is.
Dived is
Rund
a thing.
is just an abomination. It's like a healthy animal with a giant growth on its side. It's just wrong. It's abhorrent,
Or it's something a child says.
Yeah, I runned.
which is also terrible.
Well, I was thinking it also sounds okay. Speed ran sounds okay because we have so many ran verbs, like they outran the storm or they overran their budget.
Sped run for sure. Sped run all the way.
Why
Yeah.
No, I don't like sped run.
Sped run is good. It's I don't know.
short.
There's something. It just fits. Like there's something
Yeah.
about it. How it just kind of clicks into the puzzle
Yeah.
pieces of that context. Like if
Yeah,
you
I
have you
agree.
ever like engaged in speed running, Daniel? Have you ever tried it?
When I run, I can't get up to any speed. So
No, you do know that
Wait.
it's not to do with running.
I do
right?
know.
Okay.
You finish the game and then you try to
We
finish
just
the
had to.
game
We
again.
had to just clarify.
Okay,
right?
that's cool. I was doing a bit.
Okay. It was a very good bit. You did well, Dad. Good job.
But if that's the case, then why? Okay, tell me about hang glide. What did you do yesterday? You hung glide? Come on.
No, a hang glided.
Hang glided. Yeah.
You don't past tense the first.
Also, glided is a word.
Yes. Exactly, Daniel.
Yes, it is. Okay. So you're proposing a fairly complex set of rules here. You're saying if it's a
That's not a
thing,
problem. Speakers can deal with it.
All I'm saying is if it feels good, it works.
Exactly.
but Can you think of any other compound verbs that are kind of irregular where the first one gets the tense?
But that doesn't have to be the rule. This could be a thing. This could be a beautiful unicorn of vocal manifestation.
Okay, but what we try to do is we try to look for patterns, right? Is this part of any pattern that you know?
Okay, let's see.
Was part of the pattern speed, sped, run, ran.
Yes.
Yeah.
What about this, Daniel? What if, given the context in which it takes place, which is to say a hyper specific, clicky sort of indom of human beings,
And pretty new, too.
what if, for lack of a better phrase, what if the uniqueness of it is its appeal to the users of that community, right? We want to set ourselves apart by, and this happens in gamer lingo all the time, right?
It's true.
There is a constant sort of treadmill of first you would be elite at something, then you would be elite at something, then you would be 1337 at something. All of these things being a manifestation to make them less and less sort of like accessible to the layperson.
What is noob from?
Ooh, good question, actually. I don't know. What is the etymology of noob?
Oh, it's from a newbie. You're someone who's new at the game.
There we go.
Yeah, but what is newbie?
So it's new plus B, but then the B jumped. It got rebracketed.
Yeah,
Now
right.
It's new.
There you go.
Huh, okay.
Yeah, Spedrun.
And in fact, Hedvig, you have said that we often underestimate. I think it was Mikhail Parfal who said that we underestimate the influence of humor on language change
Absolutely.
and language innovation.
Yeah. People like to have fun.
If internet linguistic change has taught us anything, it's that fun drives a lot of this stuff.
Have you seen all the people online? There's various Facebook groups and things where they pretend that N is a forbidden letter and they only use M.
The forbidden mazel.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. So there's like chimken mugget.
You just don't. You don't type it.
Chimken muggets. God, I can't even.
You never do.
Why?
It's fun. It's so much fun.
Because you can't have a group identity if you just do normal stuff. You have to do weird stuff.
Gotta be weird, yeah.
Right?
And this is
That's what it
wholesome
is.
weird, at least. Like, it's not like Pepper the Frog or some
I agree.
stuff.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay, so the verb, Matthias, the verb is spedrun. There you
we
go.
Daniel has been poo-pooed.
We decide. We are the Alliance Anglais.
It's two against one.
Why do I keep calling it that? Académie Anglais. Sorry. I keep messing up Académie Française and Alliance Française.
Common mistake. This one comes from Matt on Facebook, so I have questions for linguists. I was watching a TikTok.
Yes. A tiki-talk.
A tiki-talk?
What?
Tiki-talk.
Oh, is this the Swedish or is this the Hedvigish?
No, it was a joke. There was some NBA players. I don't understand. It's American sports. One of the players was really popular on TikTok, and the other one came over and said, "Hey, my son really likes you. Can you put me in one of your TikToks?" And I thought that was very funny.
That's amazing. That sounds
very
wonderful.
Yeah.
I like that.
TikToks.
I was watching a TikTok. Started as a rebellion against a certain person trying to ban the app, and now I'm addicted. Where an English teacher in Japan was explaining that students shouldn't use Japanese in English class. Right? Fair enough, kind of very common. But some Japanese words are okay, like sushi.
Okay. Well, okay, because they've been adopted into the English language.
Mm-hmm. But, says Matt, if a word like sushi is borrowed into English, it's now an English word, right? Meaning that saying sushi wouldn't be using Japanese in English class, just an English word of Japanese origin. Or how does that work?
No, but isn't that what the teacher said? Isn't that just how you told the story? Like the teacher said, you can't use Japanese words, but there are some Japanese words you can use because they're in English.
Yeah, but they aren't Japanese words anymore.
Okay. I get it.
Also,
I
probably
don't think...
sushi, the way English people pronounce it, isn't the way that word sounds like in Japanese, right?
That's going to come up in a second here. So the TLDR is, when does a word borrowed from a second language become part of the first? Do we have any indication?
I'm thinking Hedvig's probably on the money here, like when it substantially changes pronunciation in common usage.
I think that's one thing, definitely.
Yeah.
So I think another thing, not only pronunciation, but when people forget that it's a loanword, when enough people forget that that's where it came from.
Oof, that's a tough bar to clear, though.
I know.
Like, that's going to be centuries before we're there with something like sushi, surely.
And it can happen really quickly. Like, pizza is only less than a century old, but it's fully English now. Any other guidelines, Hedvig? We got pronunciation. We've got sort of opacity of etymology.
Can I take morphology? Can you say, I had lots of sushis yesterday?
That was my next thing, yes.
Yeah.
Our emojis, when right now everybody pluralizes it emoji, but I think if enough people say it, lots of emojis.
To be fair, I think sushi is like a mass noun. So you say like, I had lots of sushi yesterday. Same way you say there's lots of water in the room.
I saw lots of sheep.
Yeah, that's right. This isn't an easy question. Words don't get an induction ceremony, but it can happen really quickly, and I think it has to do with pronunciation.
What's an example of one that's happened really quickly?
I think emoji is it fully English? Maybe not.
Oh, yeah.
You just got to feel for these things.
I think a lot of people don't know it has any.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people don't know it has other origins. They just think it's like a cute affix to like emoticon. Yeah. Which is not. That's really
I would imagine the rapidity with which that's been inculcated into English is to do with the thing that birthed it. I'm not making a lot of sense here, i.e. emoji, the actual thing that the word represents, came about very quickly and rose to popularity very, very quickly, right? In the West. Sushi spent a long time building itself up in first sort of the United States and then in other Western nations as like a food item, and you have to go to a Japanese store to get it, right? But on your phone, you don't have to go into the Japanese part of your phone. You don't have to go to the Japanese district of your iPhone and be like, oh, but I really need like the crying eyes emoji. Like, oh, I'm going to have to talk to this vendor who I don't really understand and it's going to be really difficult. Like, no. And so I think because of that, the lineage of sushi is going to remain super clear for a really long time, whereas something like emoji just doesn't.
Do you know what I also think might be happening? I think that a word from a language is going to feel more adopted in quicker if that culture is more similar to ours, if they are not the other. Do you know? I feel like there's some social othering.
Yeah, sure.
But by that logic, emoji should have taken just as long as sushi should have, right? Because Japanese and Western culture are not super similar.
But we still feel like sushi's a foreign word, or do we?
But we don't feel like emoji
do
is.
we?
Do we?
Maybe that domain of Japanese society feels more similar to
And
online behavior, texting.
Because it's in everybody's
similar
pockets.
Yeah.
And if I'm being fair as well, I think it's mostly that what happened was the rest of the world caught up with how Japan had been living their lives through their phones for many years before the West got to it. So I was surprised to learn that computer ownership in Japan is actually quite a lot less than in the West, right? Wow. So like in the same way that a lot of people now don't really have laptops or computers or whatever, like us three do, obviously, because of the work we do in podcasting and that sort of thing. But like a lot of people just don't have a computer, right? Because they've got a phone and it does most of what they need it to do. And if they go to work, there's a computer there and that's that, right? Wow. Which is how Japanese society had been running for like 10 years before we figured out that like smartphones were a thing and a bunch of stuff, right? Like Japan had made phones smart a long time before Apple came along.
Wow, okay. That's wild.
That's really wild to me. Like I still, like I know people who use what are we calling them again?
iPads.
But the things that
tablets.
aren't Apple.
Tablets.
I know a lot of people use tablet computers instead of a computer. And I just can't, like they type on it and they like connect a keyboard and I'm like, why don't you have a computer? Just
Mate, if you really want a really fun time, what you should do is come and do my job and see an entire generation of kids who have no computer literacy because everyone's just like, oh, they're digital natives. They'll just like figure it out. And it's just like, no, you need discrete instruction. You absolutely do. Kids don't know how to copy and paste a file. They don't understand the concept of a file and like hard drives and folders and stuff. Because Apple was just like, I'm not going to why people don't need to know how to store things. Screw you, Apple.
Yeah. No, I've had to, because I teach like beginning programming to some people sometimes. And it's one thing when the older people, like I'm like, download this file, put it in a place where you know where it is in your file structure. And I see the look on some of the older people and also some of the younger people looking like folder structure. Don't know really how comfortable I am with that.
It's at the point now where I would rather a 55-year-old than a 15-year-old. If I was just to roll the dice, if I was to like play the averages, I would definitely go trying to explain the concepts to a person who was there before computers came along than someone who's just been born into it but doesn't know. Because they're just used to total ease of service, right? They are used to being able to look at a phone screen and with very few sort of like contextual clues be able to like tap their way to whatever it is they want to do. Whereas a computer, you have to like know stuff.
Hey, Matt, thanks for that question.
You got Ben ranting, Matt. Well done.
Let's go on to a question from Moxie from Your Brain on Facts. That's Brain on Facts Pod, who tweeted us, if anyone will know this, it's y'all. Does the recent phrase going ham descend from going whole hog or maybe going hog wild? Have you heard this one, Ben? Going ham?
I have not.
I had
don't know
not
what you're
either.
talking about.
Okay.
We are old.
Going hell for leather is going ham. But where does it come from? Okay, well, your best guess? Does Moxie's guess sound pretty good, or do you have a better one?
Going full ham, I wonder, I like to call things biscuits in place of like stupid or dumb or whatever. Like, you biscuit. I don't know why, I just do. And I'm wondering if it's just like one of those funny word games where you just put a deeply nonsensical word in.
Okay, well, let's see.
Is it whole hog?
No. I took a look at Green's Dictionary of Slang, and they've got John Green has an entry for go ham, comes from the 2000s, to put in maximum effort or to go hard as a motherfucker.
Okay.
H-A-M.
Ham meaning like the genitals with which you are like fucking this task to destruction?
I don't think so. I just think it's like somebody who's completely mad. Somebody who's completely crazy. Like, whoa, like a berserker.
That's strange though, because ham is very sedate and boring an idea.
Now, this was popularized in the Jay-Z and Kanye West song, H-A-M.
Okay.
Ham.
Oh, okay.
Right? But I'm not sure if this is a backronym, if the term was, in fact, came from somewhere else, but then people sort of attached this hard as a motherfucker acronym to it. I don't think so, but I'm reserving that possibility that maybe it was popular like around 2000, 2005. People were saying it for some other reason, and then the motherfucker interpretation sort of took over.
So like a folk etymology, essentially, like a fornication under consent of the king type thing.
Excuse me? Oh, I got it now.
Well, just like people think that bae, if someone's your bae before anyone else, or thought, T-H-O-T, is that hoe over there. Neither of those are true, but people have this history of when there's a term, they love to invent acronyms.
It's
and you
got to be
watch
an
out.
acronym. It has to be.
Everything's an acronym. No, it's not. So, Moxie, at this point, the best I could do is say it looks like it's the motherfucker interpretation, going hard as a motherfucker.
Oh my God.
But people could have been using it earlier, and it could have been a backronym. At this point, it doesn't look like it, but there you go.
It feels like everything is just now caught up to the very first part of this question.
Well, I'm
Why
just trying to
ham?
relate back. I'm just like, why? Okay, never mind.
Two more. Dynasty. This one's from Diego on Patreon. Hi there. Listening to episode 7, Mailbag of One Wrong Answer, I noticed Hedvig's pronunciation of dynasty with the first syllable as din instead of dine.
Yep. What's up?
Both are acceptable, right? Dynasty,
Yeah.
dynasty.
Dynasty.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
I say dynasty. I'm from American English.
I place more Crusader Kings than you, so my opinion was
There you go.
so.
You play infinitely more than I do.
Have you spent 300 hours meticulously crafting a dynasty digitally, Daniel? No, then you can shut the hell up, you serf. Good for
Dying
nothing.
twice in a day. I died twice
Is that what
in a
this
day the
is?
other day.
Is that what this is about? Okay. A challenge. A challenge.
How do you lose Crusader Kings? Does every member of your family have to
No,
die out?
I lost twice in a day. No,
Oh.
your heir, the character you're playing. So for everyone, Crusader Kings is a computer game where you play a character and you try and advance your dynasty, your lineage. If you don't have any heirs that will carry forward your legacy and you die,
Gotcha.
then the game ends.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Sorry, carry on.
Diego continues, it got me thinking about how there are several words in English with a syllable that can be pronounced as either I or a schwa. Civilization, direction, civilization, direction. I know the modern I sound is a result of the great vowel shift, but my question is, does the great vowel shift have anything to do with this? Have these words always had both pronunciations? Have these syllables always been in flux between a schwa and an I? Was realize ever pronounced realize instead of realize? Thanks.
Ooh. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, this is some galaxy brain thinking.
Diego, this is fucking this is hard shit, man. Like you have really like other people like, what do you think about proverbs? And you're just like, listen, I know the great vowel shift. No. I don't. None of these have been bad questions, but this is rolling in the deep cuts. I think we can say this question has touched on the great vowel shift and the like vocalization unit joie. All right, this is not some Johnny come lately bullshit. This is like,
We need to explain both those things, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do
All right.
it. So the Great English Vowel Shift was somewhere between 1400 and 1700 CE.
Sure.
And as the non-linguist, for everyone listening who is about to learn about the Great Vowel Shift for the first time, like, take a massive hit on a doobie you've got nearby because this shit is going to bake your noodle. Straight up, like when someone's just like, oh, by the way, at a certain point in history, everyone just said vowels like a different way. And
no one knows why.
What?
Hedwig, you want to take this, or have you got a good bit on this?
I'm not sure I'm the best. So basically what you need to do in your brain, first of all, is to make a little triangle where you have E, U, and A at the extreme ends. And then you imagine that there's a space between that, and you plot in all the rest of the vowels you can think of in that space. Now, what happened was that what you can think of as letters and how they map onto these sounds, they all sort of just did a little roundabout, swig about.
They did a do-si-do, didn't they? They were doing a barn dance, and they all just went, and now swing your partner round and round.
Yeah, they all step one step forward.
Yep, everybody said, hey, you know that word rida, which means I need a rida to the bus station, right? Yeah. I'm just going to start saying that ride instead. I'm just going to make that totally long. And then what used to be E, I'm going to take all the sounds that are E, and I'm going to move them up to E. So now klana becomes clean, all right? So everything's just swirling around here, and nobody knows why, and it happened, for over the course of 300 years.
If ever there was, I know, like, archaeologists love to point at pyramids and be like, aliens. I feel like this is the alien thing, 100%, right? Okay. Like a bunch of aliens came down and were drunk, first of all, and we're just kind of like, you want to do something fun? You just want to change how this entire civilization speaks for like the next 2 millennia?
No, dude. Let's wait 100 years until they have books and their spelling gets mostly settled. Let's do it then. After that, that'll stuff them.
It's so weird. Okay, so that's a great vowel shift.
Okay.
Vowel shift, this great vowel shift is an interesting thing that people mostly have talked about. I mean, so we're talking about English here, but there's no reason to assume that this kind of phenomena doesn't occur in other languages as well, but we just don't really know about them yet.
But I think
it'd be really fun if anyone knew the same thing.
Well, I just worry about, like, when I heard this story for the first time, there's the initial, like, what? That's crazy. And then I assume, like everyone who hears about the Great Vowel Shift, eventually my brain was like, it could happen tomorrow. Like, no one knows why it came. No one knows where it went. It could come back again. And so tomorrow I could be like rooting to work instead of riding to work and a bunch of other crazy nonsense.
Well, there are shifts in progress. I mean, there's the Northern City shift in the U.S. where instead of saying Bob, they say Bab.
Bab.
Well, Bab.
It also underlines why historical linguists don't really use vowels that much, because vowels are
just make no sense.
They're on such a continuum, and it seems like humans are able to accept so much variation with vowels. Like a lot of different people have different vowels, and people don't seem to have a massive problem understanding each other.
And I guess that's mostly how accents work as well, right?
That's our next question.
Yeah, a lot
like when you go to Liverpool, right? It's the vowels that are really doing the legwork of making that accent, right? Drum becomes drum and all that kind of stuff.
It seems like vowels and also maybe intonation and maybe stress placement are things where the human brain is like, yeah, I'll accept variation because I'll still understand what you're saying, which means you can grab onto it if you want to use it for identity marking, because people will notice it, but they won't hamper comprehension.
Yeah,
this is my personal theory, that there are certain things like you can't just start pronouncing all the consonants differently because then people won't actually understand you. But if you want to mark where you're from, you can just shift your vowels around a bit. Yeah. It's like I'm watching The Crown right now, and the Queen's vowels, famously.
Yeah.
Okay,
we'll come back to this for Nikolai's question next, but let's go back to dynasty. Mm-hmm. So so dynasty has 3 syllables, dynasty. You know how it's pronounced 2 syllables, but when it turns to 3, it's pronunciation, or like serene, but serenity?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is happening because this is part of a process called, get ready, this is the term, trisyllabic laxing. All right.
Okay.
God bless you.
So what's happening here is that you got a long vowel in a 3 or more syllable word. And instead of being really tense, like serene, really tense, it turns more to an serenity. Serenity. And
Well,
that's
what's the longer version, like dynastic? What's the bigger word that we're trying to get to here?
what's the what is the shorter word? I don't
Okay.
even know what that would be. I don't know what's the tense version of dynasty? Well, dynasty is the
Dynastic
tense version.
Was the closest thing, I think.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Dynastic head.
Dynastic.
Yeah. But we do it in words like this, and the interesting thing is that in British English, it's more likely to lax than American English, and that's why we have words like dynasty instead of dynasty, privacy instead of privacy, and vitamin instead of vitamin.
Oh.
Oh, and
So
tomato
interesting.
and tomato.
Yeah, so it's private but privacy, vital but vitamin, all right?
Yeah.
And American English just keeps the tense versions. Now, back to Diego's question. Does this have anything to do with the Great English Vowel Shift? And the answer is no. This stuff happened way before the Great English Vowel Shift. Once again, the vowel shift was between 1400 and 1700, and this goes all the way back to Middle English and even to Old English. This is a constant thing that's been going on in English for a long time. So, nope, they're not related.
Interesting.
Cool.
Okay, finishing up, let's get back to our earlier discussion. Nikolai asks on our Discord channel, why is it so common for English dialects to differ mostly in their vowels? Do other languages have similar dialect contrasts? Is this related to our having tons of vowels? My linguistics final paper is on the cot-quat merger. Mwahaha.
So I feel like we all have like theories that we keep returning to. For Ben, for you, it's did we talk about this that children have an easier time learning because they don't have much else to do?
Like children are no better learning languages. They just have literally every need taken care of.
Yeah, they have nothing better else to do, and the only thing they want to do is control their environment, and they need language to do that.
Yeah.
And mine is there are certain things in language that people are able to accept variation in and still keep comprehension, but they accept variability, and you can use that variability to do something else that isn't meaning. That is, for example, what we call indexicality,
Identity.
which is identity things. So that's so I call that theory. So if any of our listeners listen to this show and are going to write a paper, you have to write like. There's probably they always want to have good ideas.
Someone else had them first.
Someone wrote a book.
Didn't
on
you
it in
discover
the
this
80s.
when you were doing your PhD? It's really hard to come up with new ideas.
Yeah. No, my professor in Stockholm, Östendahl, I would sometimes like go around and think I had a good idea, and then I would research it, and he would almost always have written a paper about it. It's like he like set me down a cognitive path
That he'd
and it
already
just
tried
led
very well.
And then I came across something and I was like, oh, this is a wonderful landmark. And then like, no, he's put a flag here.
Damn.
Well, okay, so Hedvig, it sounded like what you were saying earlier is that vowels, there's a lot of shift possible in there because they're kind of slippery. And also there's a great deal of tolerance for variation in vowels, whereas for consonants, you wouldn't have that much variation. So this kind of thing could happen anywhere. Accents in different languages are going to be also vowel-based like they are in English mostly.
Yeah.
Ooh, but hang on though. What about tonal languages?
Yeah, I think they do too. I think vowels are
Okay.
a thing. Yeah. And the tricky thing is also, I would argue, based on, what was it, Lithuanian and Swedish and a couple more, that if you have some sort of tone intonational stuff, you can maybe use that as well. Not if you're a super tonal language, but if you have a little bit of it, you could, what's a good, for English, for you guys, it's probably stress placement rather than intonation.
Right.
I feel like Nikolai's question is interesting, though, because like I'm thinking of my one point of comparison that I know really well, Spanish. You know, Spanish doesn't have, like English has 14 vowels or 15 vowels, depending on how you want to slice it. And Spanish has maybe 5 or 6. And I can think of lots of consonant-based variety differences, like the L in million. Some people say million, some people say millon, and there's millón. There's the S turning to H thing, mismo turning to mismo, and there's an S to theta thing.
True, actually. Yeah. No, Spanish does a lot of consonant shifting, doesn't it?
But I can hardly think of any vowel differences in Spanish.
But is that because Okay, so the other thing we got to think of is if we have our vowel space and if you have 15 or 14 things in there, then as soon as if you imagine them as little districts, they sort of carve up the space. In English, as soon as you move a little bit, you might move out of your designated space, and then people will be like, it's a big change. But what I'm saying is that maybe Spanish are moving within those districts. It's just that people don't think about it because they don't get out of the neighborhood.
Right. So R and A are different in English, but in Spanish that would just be the same vowel.
Yeah. I'm happy for this. I like hypothesis to be disproven. So far my vowels are prime territory for identity marking. I'm happy for it to be disproven.
But
No,
I
I
mean,
think that's-
Daniel brings up a good point, which is that you were kind of saying, I can't think of a lot of examples of how consonants shift, but it's true in Spanish. Like that is where a lot of that work does happen, right?
So is Nikolai right? Do we perceive lots of accents because we have such a detailed vowel space?
Maybe. I mean, the thing I think about, and this kind of adds to Hedvig's theory, is like we've all seen those dumb internet things of like, if you can read this, you're a genius, and they've just removed all the vowels from all of the words. Right? And you're not a genius. It's just that the consonants are the things that do a lot of the work.
That's also just how Hebrew works, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Arabic, right? Like you just write without vowels.
Yep.
I think that the consonants, certainly in English, the only language I actually speak, are the things that are actually letting you know the meanings of words.
Yeah.
And as I said, this is sort of backing up Hedvig's theory, and the vowels are like flavor text. like it's just like, make it a bit nicer.
I just think this is such a good question, and it could lead to so many interesting ideas coming out.
Who wants to do a PhD? Not this guy.
No way. Okay. Hey, that was a great question, and they were all such fantabulous questions. I feel like I learned a lot through all of this, so thanks to everyone who suggested them. And now it's time for Words of the Week. Let's start with one that I think you won't know because it's a neologism. Take a guess as to what this one means. Orbisculate. Orbisculate.
Excuse me? Orbisculate.
Orbisculate.
Is it
Is
use
it
biscuit to mean I'm not?
No. Or
Not this
bisculate.
time.
It reminds me of demonstrate, that unnecessarily complex word to throw something out a window.
Yeah.
Or bisculate. Is it to do with like maiming or injuring someone in a certain way?
Yes.
Is it or as in gold?
No.
No, orbisculate are orbs, like taking scoops out of a person's flesh.
It's gouging eyes out.
Oh, you're on the right track with the eyes, but it's not that terrible.
just
Is it
poking someone's eyes.
Put your finger in the eyes. The thing you're not allowed to do in wrestling.
Hedvig, I feel like you're so close, so I'm going to describe what this means. This word comes from the late Neil Krieger, a dad, father of Jonathan and Hillary Krieger, the latter a journalist. They say, our father invented orbisculate in college to describe when a citrus fruit squirts in your eye. And then proceeded to use it so often when we were growing up that we were shocked to discover it wasn't in the dictionary. So they are trying to get orbisculate into a dictionary. They're on a campaign.
I gotta say, their dad needed better technique if so regularly did this occur that he needed a word for it.
Or just stop eating grapefruit. That's all you got to do. So you can go to orbisculate.com. You can use it. You can type it. If people start using it, then dictionaries will notice, and it will make its way in, and it will be a fitting tribute to their dad.
I
There
like
you go.
it.
Orbisculate.
I'm much for using one word for a thing when you can. Steve's learning Swedish right now, and he's finding that we have a lot of like one word for things that English just like phrasal verbs for. And I'm for it. Defenestrate, orbisculate, thumbs up.
This grapefruit just orbisculated into my eye,
Disagree.
Yeah.
and now I'm going to defenestrate it.
Disagree. That's okay. We can. We're allowed to.
Next one, monolith.
Oh, God.
Oh, we like a bit of mystery, don't we?
It's not a mystery.
No, it's not. So these enormous metal things, about 3 or 4 meters tall, about as wide as a person.
I'm going to call it a plinth.
A plinth. Yes, it's a plinth. These silver things have been appearing. The first one appeared in Utah and then was subsequently carried off by people who objected. Romania, one appeared there. And then lately California, because of course, California.
Naturally.
Wait, I don't know what this is about. Also, monoliths are stone.
Have you not seen this story, Hedvig? Have you not seen any of the internet stories about this?
I've been LARPing parent for 2 weeks. I don't. And then trying to do my job. I haven't followed news at all.
Yeah, fair enough. It is a large metal pillar thing. Think 2001: A Space Odyssey. That thing, but like silver and shiny.
I reiterate, monoliths are supposed to be stone.
Well, then
That's
what would you
lith
call
is
it out of
about.
metal?
No, that's true, though. Etymologically, these are not monoliths because lithos is stone. Plinth is good. Metal plinth.
Why am I like this right now? I don't know. I'm choosing this hill.
Seriously?
That's not a monolith! And a house can only be dilapidated if it's a stone house because lapid.
So to catch you up, Hedvig, there was, as you can imagine, there was a bunch of like, is it aliens? Like kind of clickbaity type stuff.
Yeah, but people are just being silly because they like it.
Is it to do with Elon Musk?
No.
I think it's pranksters. I genuinely think it's like, did you ever watch the Ghost in the Shell television series, Standalone Complex?
Yes, I did.
Right. So I believe, personally, that it's one of those, a standalone complex, right? Like where someone did a thing and then some other people did a thing and now it's becoming like a Beta-Meinhof complex, right? Like where it's like a self-sustaining sort of thing.
Copycats.
I love that was your reference for that. You could have picked so many other things, but good job.
Nerd!
And David Astle, the crossword constructor, has tweeted, monolithium, narcotic effect of misery in a year of general misery. Finally, zombie. Back in 2018, we commented on zombie compounds like the zombie economy, zombie bank, zombie meme. Well, I got a few more zombies for you. Zombie batteries. You know, lithium-ion batteries are extremely flammable, and sometimes if they get disposed of wrong and damaged, they can cause massive flare-up fires. Nasty, nasty.
Yeah.
Zombie oil wells. These uncapped wells that are spewing methane gas. And zombie companies, which are like zombie banks in that they don't make enough money to pay off the interest on their loans. So we're seeing an expansion of zombie. I like it. Yeah. So I thought I would throw it in.
I've always thought that it needed to be applied to botnets.
Speaking of zombie batteries and lithium batteries catching fire, I'm very bad at doing this, but if I can, it's I've heard that you're not supposed to charge things when you're sleeping because weird things can happen when you overcharge things. Is this with lithium batteries?
I would be flabbergasted if that was true with contemporary consumer electronics.
I know, but I've been told it is, and now I'm scared of charging things when I'm sleeping. But maybe
what I've heard of that is legitimately a thing is that because a lot of people do this, you shouldn't charge your phone under your pillow because the shorting of like charger cables can start fires, kind of thing. As you like move around and that sort of thing.
Yeah, that's good.
But no, like surely we're not in an era where like this gets damaged by being plugged in for too long. Like my phone today, I spilled some water on it and I got a little message that was like, hey, some water got in your USB jack, so we're shutting it down for now and we'll let you know when the when it's safe to be like rejiggered kind of thing. Yeah. If my phone has the intelligence to do that, surely it has the intelligence not to overcharge.
Yeah.
I've heard that even if it doesn't start fires, if you overcharge your battery, it might make the lifespan a bit worse.
That is true.
It was not going to start a fire, but it might not be the best thing for your battery in the long term.
They tend to like being charged up between 20 and 80%. 100% all the time, you might see some decrease in battery life.
Yeah.
But also, like, our phones don't last long enough for that to be a thing. Like, my previous phone went for like 5 years without a problem. Then again, I don't buy Apple because they're trash.
I don't buy Apple either.
Away with you. We'll have the Apple debate sometime. Orbisculate, monolith, and zombie are three words of the week. And don't forget to participate in our annual Word of the Week of the Year vote. It's going on right now on Facebook and Twitter. Every word is a separate comment in our massive thread, and you can react, and that's a vote. You can also make funny comments about any of the words, and you can advocate or disadvocate some of them. So that's a lot of fun. We'll have the results for our next episode.
Get in there and roast some words.
I've forgotten the ones that I've suggested. I'm going to go in and figure out which ones I've suggested and upvote them in pure narcissism.
A few comments from Stig Martyr on Twitter. Hey, because Lang Pod, can we make screenshot the past tense of screenshot? Done.
Not bad. To be fair, Apple encourages me to use the word screen grab.
Oh, that's all right. Well, I think according to your rule, it should be scrone-shat, right?
There's no past tense of screen.
Screen is the noun.
Screen is a verb. Come on.
Okay, screen shot.
We're gonna screen the picture.
Screen
Never
shot.
mind.
Scronshat.
Scronshat. Thanks, Stig. And from Elias, currently listening to the episode, and since you were struggling to find a city rhyming with Hedvig, I'm offering you Hedvig à Martigues, a cute little town in the southeast of France by the Mediterranean Sea, where I'm sure you'll find decent coffee. Thanks, Elias. What do you think, Hedvig? Would you go to...
That's lovely. Thank you. I love it.
I still want to watch the Netflix show Hedvig in Leipzig.
Well, I'm not in Leipzig right now.
It's the show's concept. I'm not sure it would translate to the south of France.
Isn't the show's concept Hedvig is somewhere in Europe?
I guess so.
At a bad microphone.
Where in the world is Hedvig today?
Well, I think I would like to watch Hedvig à Martigues. That would be cute as well.
That is very cute. I like it. Thank you very much. If you have some fun words of the week that you want to suggest, words that have been buzzing around in your brain during the week, please send them to us, and also other reactions, comments, and praise. Please don't send negative things. Oh, no, I'm kidding. You can send
abuse.
You can send abuse. Well, not abuse, but you can tell us when we've been wrong in a way you think we care about.
This is the most qualified over-justification of how they should come in.
Yeah. No, but it'd be fun to get some word of the week ideas, actually, maybe.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah. If you want to do that, you can send your reactions, comments, and praise to Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Mastodon, Patreon. We are Because Lang Pod everywhere on those. You can also send us an old school email at hello@becauselanguage.com. And you can check out our Redbubble store where, reminder, we are Talk to Talk still. Better still, if you like the show and you want other people to find it, tell a friend about it or leave us a positive review somewhere where you get podcasts.
Good time to mention Sandman, who for the last 2 or maybe 3 weeks has been absolutely relentless in promoting us and other linguistic podcasts. It's like he searches for people who are looking for podcast recommendations and then mentions us. So we're very grateful. Thanks, Dustin. Check out his show at Stories Sandman.
Now, if you're listening to this as it comes out, that means you're a patron, because this is one of our shows that we do for patrons. We'll drop it for the general public later on, but you get a tasty early listen in your ear holes. And it's patrons like you who are able to allow us to keep this show going and to do bonus episodes like this one. We use the money for a bunch of good purposes. It's not just lying in our pocketbooks, I give you the big tip. No, we are using this money to transcript our episodes so that those who are deaf or non-hearing can access our fun, interesting linguistic show as well. So you are definitely doing good work for other people. If you're a patron, make sure your details are up to date at patreon.com/becauselangpod, and we'll be sending you postcards and stickers real soon. Among our wonderful patrons are Jeremy, Chris, Lisa the Major, Chris, Matt, Damien, Helen, Bob, Jack, Kitty, Lord Mortis, Christelle, Elias, Michael, Larry, Bin, Christopher, Dustin, Andy, Mike, Nigel, sorry, had to scroll, Kate, Jen, Nastran, Nikolai, Aisha, my wonderful partner, Emma, Andrew, and new this week, Moe and James. Thank you, our patrons.
Our music is written and performed by Drew Kreplianov. He's in the band Gideon's Bible. Their new single, John Candy, is on their Bandcamp page right now, and it's a packing listen. Drew is also a member of Ryan Bino, another great band. Thanks for listening. Catch you next time. Because Language.
Woo! Woo!
Did you know that some people are actually... We've had 2 people buying stuff lately.
What?
Yeah.
Well, one was the linguistic sticker, and then the other one was the T-shirt, the Language Police T-shirt with you on it, Ben.
God. Wait, which one? The sweary one or the non-sweary one?
The non-sweary one.
Oh, boo.
I know, but somebody's going to be walking around with you, throwing an emoji into
looking
a crowd
like
of...
the whitest of all revolutionaries.
Well, Antifa, you know.
Yeah.
That is still funny.